But yeah, so how, you know, obviously you had your last fight last year, but retirement's never easy for a boxer. How have you been? How have you been coping with it all?
Joe, honestly, John, I feel a bit guilty saying it because I know some other lads really struggle with it and they miss it. But I've not. And listen, you know how much I love boxing. It's been a huge part of my life for way over 20 years since the age of 10. I'm 33 now, so but the actual sort of boxing side of things, me doing the training, being around the lads, that's not. I don't miss that because I'm in the gym nearly every day, sort of with the lads who we used to train with, at Joe's. I've got my own lads sort of around the amateurs, so you've still got sort of that gym sort of banter, being around them, and being part of the team. So I don't miss that side of things. So and even like obviously the high. I've always said it, the high that you get from competing. Walking out, I don't think that I'd ever get that high in my life again. I really don't. So I will miss that. When Scott Quigg, John O'Carroll, and other shows that I've been to since. You're there, but that one in particular, obviously, that'd be a show that I'd very likely be on, being at the Manchester Arena. People was like, how will you find it? Will it be weird? But I didn't, John. I didn't, and I feel a little bit guilty saying that. Anyway, I think it's a good thing, but I was just like, no, my time's done, and I think I realised sort of the time was done obviously before my last fight. I just it's time to sort of move on with the next part of my life now. It's time to move on with the next part of my life. Boxing will always be a huge part of it, but just not as a fighter no more, and I can accept that.
Yeah, and do you think part of that kind of satisfaction is that in your career you did everything you could have done? You became a world champion, which at the time wasn't expected. You sold out the Manchester Arena, had huge fights there, and you also fought, the best boxer of this generation as well, the sort of pound for pound best on the planet. You sort of did everything. Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, definitely. Satisfaction at certainly at one part. Well, a few points in my career, that looked very unlikely that it was going to happen. But I can be satisfied with what I achieved. I come in, to win a world title out the sport, and that's what I got. I had those massive highs, and there's some lows as well, but they made me appreciate the highs even more. Obviously, I think I mixed with the very best, and obviously sort of a few fights back, the very best sort of along the fighters in history, right up there with the all-time greats, I believe. So I can have no regrets. I mean, listen, like with that fight in particular, I can think sometimes I wish I would have tried to just fight more. I might have got knocked out earlier, but that's it. It's not like regret. It's just I can look back on it sort of with satisfaction in my career. But I always said it. I think I got the very best out of what I've got. Was never the most talented fighter whatsoever, but I always worked hard to try and make up for it. And I've got to be happy, mate. I've got to be happy.
Yeah. Well, you also held the title as the nicest man in boxing, which has now been vacated. So who is taking over from you as officially the nicest guy in boxing?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he ever had that, but I don't understand. Boxing's a great sport. You don't meet. Listen, like every sport, every job, I think you meet good and bad. But in boxing, you meet a lot of great lads and girls in it. So it's I know a lot said for cameras to hype a fight up and stuff like that. But I always am a big believer in boxing as a gentleman's sport.
Yeah. Yeah, because I suppose you never really got into trash talking much, or even when you fought John Murray, that sort of Manchester rivalry, which is quite an intense occasion, a big night, you didn't buy into the rivalry like that.
No, not at all, because I knew I couldn't, because I knew it was an hard enough fight without it, without sort of wasting energy on that. So honestly, that, and you can see obviously there's a little bit of needle, but I always had massive respect for John. I think likewise, and I always, was a mate and stuff like it was just business. And I always said that, John, no matter who I boxed, it was just business. Like it really doesn't matter me if I'm around that. It wouldn't have mattered me if it was around that person just before going to the venue. It's just a job. It's always just been a job to me. It's a job that I love, and it's a serious job where you can get hurt, but at the end of the day, for me, it was just a job. It was just business. Shake hands before it, shake hands after it. That's what I always believed.
Yeah, yeah. And your fight with Lomachenko, just over a year ago, actually, that Lomachenko was particularly vicious that night. I mean, can you describe what it was like in the ring with him?
It was. I'm glad sort of you said that, because I do believe I mean, styles make fights, but I think I definitely caught for a pretty vicious, ruthless Lomachenko that night. It's, do you know what? And that's sort of saying before I think it, and sort of even said it to Joe. Obviously, the plan early on was to try and box a little bit. And I know people say, well, you're never going to outbox Lomachenko, but I didn't just want to go in there straight away and look to walk him down. For instance, like say Sosa, who becomes Bull Matador sort of type. Then, do you know what I mean? And sometimes just try and make him fall short a little bit, in sort of to take more chance, then look to sort of stand there a little bit with him. And what I believed at the time, like, that exercise, strength would come into play. I say I look stupid now, but Joe, at the time, I felt fantastic, and I genuinely believed they had a great chance of shocking the world. I was soon put in place, but it was, you sort of think, with the size, strength, and I know skills, they all say skills do pay bills, but I thought if I can drag him into the kind of fight that I want, I give myself a great chance. But I think when getting in there with him, it was every slight mistake I got punished. Every slight mistake I got punished, and it makes you feel pretty useless, to be honest. Pretty useless. And that's sort of just when I think, should I just look to sort of try walking down? And listen, I might have got knocked out sooner. I'm not going to start saying that, or I might have had a bit more success, early on. But I think I definitely caught for like a ruthless Vasiliy Lomachenko, where, like I say, for me, what I knew how good, I thought I knew how good his feet was, but the way he sort of judged distance was very sort of surreal being in there. And then what he'd do, he'd vary sort of the punch power up, whereas you couldn't really get used to it. He hit harder than he expected. And people might say, oh, that's obvious, the way the fight finished. But the shot that knocks you out is always the shot you don't see coming, isn't it? And it was sort of, it touch you, and then he'd just whip in a hard shot. He'd vary, really well. He was very well balanced. And it was like, say, he opened up. I think throughout my career, my defence served me well, even at a decent level. It served me well, the defence. But he opened me up very, very quick. It reads a fight so well. And I think, obviously, the finish, when I watch it back, and even when I was on the floor, I realised how he'd set me up, just teasing, sort of dipping. And then he looked for that gap, and, whack. It was next on face first, and I'm thinking, what am I doing down here? And that's it, really. But listen, I can look back on it now, and it's funny because, honestly, I'm a 6-year-old. He asked me every other day, why didn't you get up in time, Dad? Why didn't you get up in time?
Oh, no.
Absolutely brutal, but it's one of them. That was it. Like, say, I can't have regrets. I got there, sort of earned the shot. Like I said, I can think, oh, I should have put it on more. But listen, I might have walked onto something sooner.
Yeah, and he's very unpredictable, even in the way that, a lot of the time, even when he was an amateur, he'd be quite, he'd stand off even in the first round in just 3 rounds. Whereas with you, he went for you really quickly, like surprisingly fast.
Yeah, no, he did. And like I say, whether that's stylistically, like, sort of, I think you've seen it with we've sort of Luke, but again, I think Luke was much more suited stylistically to have that success, and not just that, he boxed very, very well. He boxed brilliant, but yeah, he'd be a bit more of a chess match at times, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think with myself, it was a bit like I'm going out there and making a statement, because I think against Pedraza is a quality. I always say this: Pedraza is a quality fighter. For some reason, he's best known for Gervonta Davis fight, but he's a quality fighter. You know, Olympian, featherweight world champion, and it wasn't his best performance. And whether that was down to how good Pedraza was or not, but it was like it wasn't one of his better performances. He struggled that he hurt his hand as well, didn't he? Or his shoulder, I can't remember. And I think, like I say, he was there to make a real statement against me.
And maybe you'd annoyed him. I'm not quite sure how, but maybe.
Possibly. I don't know. He might have been offended by something, but no, I just, like you say, and listen, I can say that I caught the roof with him, but at the same time, he might have figured me out that quick. I'm honest. He might have figured me out really quick how I was boxing, and he might have thought before he changes, I'm going to put it on him, and he did do.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about how Lomachenko is one of not that many fighters vary the power they put in their shots, and he really does like to change the speed. And you know, there are very few people who sort of throw their punches the way Lomachenko does.
Yeah, well, I remember this was a few years ago. This Russ Abner, he's done my hands a few times. Great, the best out there, I think, at wrapping hands, unbelievable. And he's a cutsman as well. Not only ever done my hands. You know, Mick Williamson looked after me throughout, you know, my career really, most of it. And he was saying to me, do you know when Lomachenko had an handful of fights? I mean, he still not had too many, but do you know, early on, sort of, I think it was about probably, it was when Russ had just started working with him, and he said to me, he's been around boxing a long time, Russ, and he's seen a lot of great fighters, so obviously he's someone that I think his opinion you've got to respect. And this was, like I say, this was a few years before I boxed him or ever thought there might be, and he was saying to me, he says, he's the best I've ever seen. He says, he sees moves 3 moves before any other fighter. He says, I see it, and it's surreal to watch. Do you know? And what he does, he says, he varies up the power. He actually said it to me again after the fight, and he said he varies up the power. Do you know so you can't get used to it. John, I'm sorry, my door's just gone. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Can I ring you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll talk about